Thank you for joining me here today on Flyer Overtime, Liam. How are you doing?
Pretty well, Colin. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
What made you become a student manager? Did you have any prior experience in high school?
So I became a student manager my freshman year. I didn't do it in high school. I played freshman year basketball, tried to keep playing, but I ended up getting hurt in soccer pretty early on, so I kind of shut down my basketball career. But what really got me into it was my old neighbor was a 4-year manager. His name was Matt Wexler, great guy. But he did it. He graduated the year before I got here, he graduated in 21. Kind of talked to him over the summer. I was like, hey, this is something I might be thinking about. Could be really interesting. Could be a lot of fun. Wasn't sure. I kind of got to school. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a couple weeks. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't. Turned out to, I came across the application on Handshake. Just thought I had to take it. I did. Got accepted. It was probably the best decision I've made in college. So yeah.
How'd you become like a manager for Flyers? Who helped you out with that process?
Yeah. So as I kind of said, like Matt Wexler definitely helped me a lot. But as far as the process, he gave me 2 contacts for the 2 senior managers at the time. One of them being Pat Edwards, who's now my boss, which is kind of really funny. But I remember I sent a couple emails out to him. I said, hey, my name's Liam, really interested in joining. If you guys could sit down, chat, I'd love to learn more about the program. And luckily I got to meet, Pat's right-hand man, John Miller. He kind of walked me through what it was like and ended up applying on Handshake, which is Dayton's job application, whatever. Ended up taking the job and just really happy I did it, so yeah.
I don't know if you know Amir Khan from McNeese State.
Of course.
He blew up with March Madness tournament.
Yeah.
How important does having these student managers for these colleges be?
It's super important. And I think I really love the way that Will Wade kind of handled that situation. I believe there's a couple quotes out there, but, I don't remember them exactly. But him just kind of saying like, they're the most important part of the program. And to an extent, that's true. But I mean, a lot of coaches have testimonies that your program is only as good as your managers are. But getting that kind of awareness and attention of Amir Khan was kind of cool. All these people are sending me things like, when are you going to be the next Amir Khan? Where's your NIL deal? And so as much as I wish I could get the 6 figures like him, it just didn't happen that way. But it's good for the game, I think, overall. I do hope that long-term maybe draws more people to try out to be a manager, because I think some people have some preconceived notions about what it is and what it isn't. But it's just kind of one of those things that if, you try, I think you'll genuinely enjoy it a lot. So.
And then let's go back to senior night.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the Red Scare student section wore hoodies with you on them.
Yeah,
did you know about that? And what did you think about that?
I did not know about that. That was such an awesome experience. I remember one of my friends like a week before had mentioned something about, hey, did you pay one of my friends like who set it all up, like, hey, did you pay her the money for the shirt? And I was like, what shirt are you guys talking about? And they're like, oh, just some gift or whatever. I almost caught it there, but I remember I was getting texts from other managers, because usually on game days I'm kind of in the back. I don't get out on the court as much, just setting up other things. And they're like, hey, somebody has a surprise for you or whatever, go out there. So I'd probably say about 90 minutes left on the clock, I went out there, and all my friends have been wearing the shirts with my face on it. They picked a pretty good photo, luckily. They could have chosen a lot funnier ones, but went out there. I was really surprised. Got out there, got to go see them. It was an awesome experience, yeah. And then they got so many people, my other friends, family, like extended. I believe my mom and my brother were wearing it when they walked out with me on the court, so that was really awesome to see. Really grateful for that.
What are some day-to-day operations you're tasked with the UD basketball program?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think it definitely fluctuates by year, right? So your freshman year, you're doing, I like to call it just the not fun stuff, but it's the stuff that everyone has to do, right? So the way I like to describe it, it's the grunt work. It's taking laundry, letting in food in the morning. And then kind of when you've obviously shown up to practice, that's everybody, but when you kind of, move up the ranks, there's some cooler things and opportunities you get to do. Like one of the things I love doing my junior and senior year was like packing for the road trips. We have a very kind of I don't know how to describe it, just very intricate way of like laying out the jerseys in the same way. Then we do the shorts, then we fold them up in the shooting shirts. I'd say that's probably my favorite, just because one, sometimes I get anxious about forgetting a jersey, and if we're, halfway across the states and we forget one, we're out of luck. So I like having that one in my control. But as far as day to day, it's really all the behind the scenes work that nobody would think. Like for practice, it's like getting drills ready and being able to anticipate. Like that's the biggest thing. And I think that's one of the kind of best life lessons I've learned, as far as just being able to anticipate, know what's coming next, and try and it's like solve a problem before it even happens. So yeah.
But what are some tasks you have on like practice days,
Mm-hmm.
and then what are some tasks you have on game days?
Game days, yeah. So practice, I would say it's it depends on what kind of practice we're having, right? If it's a lot of skill work, sometimes it's a lot of rebounding and stuff, and if it's other days, it's just kind of getting ready for drills, getting ready, pennies are ready, waters are ready, all that. On game days, it's kind of like what I was saying earlier. It definitely changes year over year, right? So freshman year through sophomore year, it's like you're out there rebounding your life away from about 90 minutes on the clock until about 45. But as I've kind of grown up, hire younger managers to take over that. And then now I'd say I spend a lot of my time in the upstairs locker room, getting that ready for the post game, even halftime, just trying to get ahead of whatever else could come up during the game, right? And then obviously during the game, I take stats on my clipboard. We do like our own hustle stats that coach wants to see at halftime or whatever, so I'm responsible for taking those and kind of putting those on the board at halftime at the end of the game, and then we kind of upload it to our little stat sheet at the end of the game. But yeah.
You guys travel everywhere
Mm-hmm.
with the team.
Yeah.
You guys went to Maui
Yeah.
for the Maui Invitational. What was that experience like for you and your student manager fellows?
Yeah, so I guess I'll first start by saying we're very lucky to, play for this program, just the history that it has, but also very lucky because we get to charter fly everywhere, and it's very easy, right? Bus pulls up to the plane, load the plane, we go. That was our first time, like, at least that I was a part of the team, like where we flew commercial, and it's just an extra risk. So I was just very worried, like, hey, what if they lose one of our bags? Like, what are we going to do if this doesn't show up? But luckily it all worked out. But that was probably one of the better experiences of my life. It was great. It was, November, it was just starting to get cold in Dayton. I was really happy to get away. It's the first time I've kind of been over on the West Coast. I guess much West Coast, out in the middle of the ocean, but it was a beautiful experience. I think the thing that really touched my heart the most was obviously they had to cancel the tournament because of the fires. And I think that community cares so much about the Maui tournament and the people that it brings in and all the tourism and all the kind of boost to the economy it gets. So being able to just kind of see how happy those people were. I remember they had, young kids like mopping up the floor and just kind of talking to them during some timeouts, like very excited to be there, very happy it's back. And I definitely hope it's something Dayton keeps playing in, and hopefully one day, if I have the money and resources for it, I'd love to go back and watch them.
And then you were also part of the March Madness tournament last season.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so that was truly one of the, Maui was beautiful, but getting to go to Salt Lake last year for our March Madness was something I'll always hold really dear to my heart. I remember the Selection Sunday, we're in the arena, we're watching, and I don't know if you remember, but I think we were the last at-large bid selected. So they're going through everybody, and we're like, oh no, like, are we really not going to make it? Luckily, got the 7th seed, got to play Nevada, and flew out to Salt Lake not long after that. And that experience, it's almost like you remember everything as clear as day. Like, I'll remember that day the rest of my life. But being in that environment where you're with all these star-studded coaches, walking by Bill Self as he's going out there and all this, and then you get to go play your game in front of the Flyer faithful that travels so well. It was just super special, especially that game against Nevada where we came back. That was awesome.
With all this traveling and dedication to the program, how have you been able to balance academics and the basketball program?
Yeah, so I will say it's definitely hard at times, just because practice, and then especially with travel, as you mentioned. Like, I think last year I almost missed like a month of school, a month of classes, right? Just because the way spring break lined up and all those A-10 tournaments, and then into March Madness, like that was another week of school. So it's definitely hard, but I think, if I were to give advice, it's just being super proactive with your schoolwork, not getting too far behind, and then also just having a really good relationship with your professors, right? They're the most important people in the class. Being able to be transparent with them, like, hey, I won't be here because of my job, this and that. They kind of know, they appreciate it. As long as you communicate it with them, they kind of understand. But as far as how I've been able to manage, I think I've been able to do all right, but it's definitely has its easy times, definitely has its hard times for sure.
You were here for the Tumani and Don Holmes experience. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What was their presences like here at Dayton?
It was very special, very special. I think Tumani, when he transferred in, that would have been my freshman year, and you could just tell that he was a pro. I don't know how to other vocabulary to explain it, but you could just tell that he was going to do big things. He was going to go on to the NBA. I remember telling my friends, I'm like, I just don't see how an NBA team couldn't take this guy. But he slipped to the second round, but he's doing what he's doing now. We're all really proud of him. I think he was just a fantastic leader, right? I think nowadays, it's really hard to hold people accountable for whatever reason. He was just always held everyone accountable. It was a great presence to have him. And then with Don, when you're dealing with just a player that's that special, it's a beauty to watch, right? Like his work ethic, and obviously he stayed here for 3 years, so I got to kind of see his work ethic more than I would have Tumani's. But his last year, he was getting up so many shots up after practice when nobody was watching, and I think seeing that pay off for him as it did was really cool. And one thing I loved about Don was how he was very humble. I remember freshman year, I think I took him to like our first arena practice in October or whatever it was, and I remember he's like, "Oh, I hope the Flyer faithful know me in a year or two." And I'm like, with the way this fan base works, like they're going to be chanting your name probably by game one. And I believe he had a great experience here. I'm really happy for that. He keeps being a spokesman for the program, so really blessed to be a part of that for sure.
Did their presences have any effect towards you and the other student managers?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think those two did a great job, but I'd honestly say almost every player that I've had the chance to be around with this program is just somebody I have the utmost respect for. Just quality people, right? I think that's my favorite quality about Coach Grant is just the people that he recruits are just, I just think they're the best of the best, right? Like I haven't had, a lot of people try and come up to me asking if I've had, a really bad experience with a certain player, but to be completely honest, I think they're all men of high integrity. Like I love that, they treat us with respect. We treat them with respect. Because at the end of the day, we're both trying to get to the same goal. We're just trying to assist either them or the staff and just trying to, at the end of the day, win basketball games. So whatever's needed of us, we do. And they're really good about kind of knowing what's up. And they definitely treat us with a lot of respect. So I'm very happy to be a part of something like that.
And speaking of Coach Grant, did you have any relationships with him? Or did he give you any advice? Or did you learn anything from him?
For sure. So I would say, AG definitely has he has a high presence. You can feel when he walks into a room, but I think just hearing him talk after practices, whether it's, just getting up to guys after a practice or even, in the locker room after a tough loss, I think it's super important to have a guy that's so commanding and being able to, take over a room, say what he needs to say, and everybody listens, right? Like, some people call him, AG General, and it's a great nickname because I feel like there's nobody I'd rather like lead me into battle than Coach Grant, and I don't even play. But I love what Coach Grant has done with this program. I think he's taught me lessons that I'm not sure I would have ever learned without him. Really happy that I got to experience these last 4 years with him. I got to learn a lot. Definitely has a lot of respect for us managers, which is always appreciated. So it's been a good 4 years with him.
What has been the favorite place you've visited with the team?
Yeah, so I think the easiest answer would be Maui, but I think outside of that, I really enjoy traveling to UMass for some reason. I don't know. I love the Massachusetts area. It's really cool. Also, like Rhode Island, I got to go there for the first time this year, which was really cool. I know, which is shocking to say because usually in the winter it's blistering cold up there. But I think I've gotten lucky with a couple experiences. But I would honestly say out there, and I think it's maybe even more special now that they're joining the MAC, so no longer A10 rivals. So I think I can feel good to say that.
You guys have student manager scrimmages, like the day before each game. What is that like, and how does it help with the team bonding?
Oh, it's awesome. So usually, kind of like a week before, all of these, pretty much almost every basketball team has like a manager's Twitter page, or Instagram page. So whatever. We kind of have one of our managers, Ben English, takes control over our social media. So he'll just DM them like, hey, like we're interested in playing. Do you guys want to play? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It kind of depends. They're usually pretty tough games at home because, as a lot of teams don't travel as many managers as you think. So they play a lot of their, graduate assistants or maybe some of their support staff. And a lot of the people that we play against are former D1 basketball players. I think last year when we played Cincinnati, which I think we went down there to play, I think they had like a 7-footer on their team. And our tallest guy is probably 6'2". So, but they're definitely a lot of fun. I think it is something we definitely use to get closer for sure. Like it's a good opportunity to just kind of see each other. It's pretty much outside the workplace, kind of away from everything else going on. We just get to play the sport we love. And so it's a lot of fun getting up and down with everybody.
What has been your favorite moment from being a student manager here? Tell me why.
Ooh, that's a great question. I think my favorite memory, I'd almost have to say, our comeback March Madness win against Nevada. I mean, I think I was really lucky. I also got to be, me and another manager got to be on the floor for that. And the NCAA has very strict regulations about how many bench seats you got. So, luckily my former boss, Jack Warren, thought, hey, these two guys are important enough. We can keep them on the bench, find a room for them. And I think just kind of experiencing that firsthand was something I'll never forget. And then, the locker room, the atmosphere, how excited everybody was. And then finally, I think when we were leaving the hotel, I pull out my phone. I'm getting all these messages from my friends at campus who are just absolutely ecstatic. And to me, that's what makes like Dayton basketball, right? It's the memories you have, like, who you share it with. And it's kind of happy that I got to be a part of something that a lot of my peers will probably never forget either. So definitely my best moment as a Flyer.
What has been the biggest takeaway from being a manager here?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think my biggest takeaway would definitely be just kind of being able to be a part of something, bigger than yourself, right? I mean, managing isn't the most glamorous job as much as, you do get to work in the D1 atmosphere. You get to know all these, players and stuff. But at the end of the day, you're not doing the most, glamoring work. It's pretty, it's dirty work. It really is. But being able to be kind of a part of something that's, means more than me, and seeing how what I do for work can impact somebody else and how that can impact, winning basketball games, I think that's super special. And doing it at a place like Dayton, where they value hoops so much, and seeing how, when we do these NIL events, all these kids coming out, just understanding that, it's okay to take a back seat, and especially when it's for something that's so important to a lot of people. I think it means a lot. So I'd say that was my biggest takeaway. With
graduation ahead, do you have any plans to stick with the sport management job? I know we had a recent grad, Brendan McKinnon, who went on to become some sort of assistant coach for another school.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans?
So as far as sports management, I think this might be the immediate end as of right now, but it's definitely something that maybe I want to stay into further down the line. Currently, I have a job lined up in accounting that I'm excited to start in October, but I think something I want to keep my eye on is, with this NIL stuff, how crazy it is. As a kid, I always wanted to work in like the front office of an NBA team, but I think there's a legitimate chance that a lot of colleges teams will probably have a, front office in the near future. So if I do maybe get back into it, might be in there, but as of right now, I'm kind of taking a quick little break.
All right, well, I thank you for joining me here on Flyer Overtime, Liam.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good luck with graduation.
Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about the managers, or if you want to learn more stories from Flyer athletes, links on screen.